What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel Ace's Place 22, where I'm Ace, and this is my place 22. It's always weird saying the 22 part at the end, but I kind of have to because it's like part of my whole thing. Anyways, welcome back to another... No, I messed that up. Welcome back to night 3 of Thrills and Chills, where I, Ace, am going to talk to you about some creepy movies for the spooky season of 2025. That is, again, night 3. This is the third night in October, and I'm up to date, and I'm going to keep it that way, and here we go. And before we do that, actually, please like and subscribe, and now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. So the movies that I have watched today, October 3rd, go right in this order. And if you've watched the first two nights' videos, I emphasize one movie out of the ones that I talk about, and I go in depth on that one a little bit more, and I spoil it. Sorry. The other two movies, or the other array of movies that I talk about, I avoid spoilers just for the fun of it. So today, after I got out of work, as soon as I got home, I immediately started watching spooky movies. And the very first one, since I watched the first one yesterday, I followed it up with, let's see how good that comes in. There's a little bit, there we go. See No Evil 2, starring WWE's Kane, former WWE's Kane, as, I wanted to say his real name, Jacob Goodnight, the serial killer that returns from the first one. Now, in night 2, when I watched See No Evil, I went in full depth on that movie. I'm not going to go in full depth on this, but what I will say is the fun little tidbit in this is Danielle Harris. Now, she is a scream queen, in my opinion. Her fame came to her in Halloween 4 and 5 when she was, I don't even remember her name in those movies, but she was Michael Myers' niece. And then she returned, so to speak, in the Rob Zombie Halloween films with 1 and 2. And she is in a plethora of other, B-rated horror movies and stuff like that. Definitely a crush of mine. I have had a crush on Danielle Harris ever since I was a little kid. I always thought she was a total knockout. And the fact that she's in horror movies just adds the fact that she's cool as hell. So See No Evil 2, I definitely recommend it. If you like the first one, you're going to absolutely love the second one. And then next up is going to be... Let's see, actually, hold on a minute. I don't know how well this will work. I can do that. As long as you guys can see it. Is the movie Don't Breathe. Now, this is the one out of the 3 of these that I'm going to go in full detail on. So I'm going to skip over this one for right now because we will go right back to it. And then the one that I just finished up, because of course it's Friday, and you know, with it being Friday, I do my Ace in the Hole variety show, live show here on YouTube, 6 p.m. Definitely got to check it out if you haven't yet already. Where all month long I'm going to be, again, talking about spooky stuff, recapping what I've talked about throughout the week, talking about toys, news, movies, anything and anything that interests me that I think might interest you. I talk about it there. So, now that I got the selfless plug out of the way, as soon as that show ended, I threw in Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. Now, this is one of... Well, if you're a Tim Burton fan, you're well aware of it, but this is definitely a Tim Burton fan, or a Tim Burton film that a lot of people probably aren't really aware of. Of course, they know Batman. A lot of people know the Alice in Wonderland. Tim Burton associated with Nightmare Before Christmas. What the heck is the one he did? The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He's done so many movies. Tim Burton has. And this is one that I think a lot of people forget or not even aware that he's done with Johnny Depp. Of course, I'm not going to go into full detail, but of course Johnny Depp and Tim Burton are not unfamiliar with each other. Of course, working on the Alice in Wonderland movies, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, so on and so forth, with many other actors that are in this film. This is a pretty good one. It's a fun... I think it came out in the 90s. Yeah. 1999, right before the new millennia started. So this definitely has that feel, that vibe of Halloween time. And it's a huge suggestion on my list. I always watch it every single year. I have a good time with it. And that's all you need to know. Now, let's get back to this one here, shall we? I'm going to turn this off because this is killing me. I like spooky season and all, but I don't want to die for it. So here this is, Don't Breathe. Now, the only actor's name that I'm familiar with that's in this is Stephen Lang. A lot of people know him from the Avatar, the very first Avatar movie. He was like the Marine guy. I never saw it, but I know he's in it. And I'm sure he's in a bunch of other stuff. I just can't imagine. I got a VFW with him in it, which is kind of a B-rated horror movie, kind of. That'll work its way into the mix here. But this movie is a lot of fun. This is a suspense thriller. If you want to consider it horror, you absolutely can, because it is pretty horrific. I am going to go in pretty lengthy details on this. So if you don't want the details and you don't want the spoilers, totally skip out of this video if you want by this point. It's up to you. But here we go. So these three young kids, the girl's name is Rocky. There's the kid that likes her. Her name is Alex, and then she has his name is Alex, and she has a douchebag boyfriend named Money. They are little delinquents. They live, I don't want to say in the hood, but they live kind of in the shitty area, and they just want to break out of their way of life. One or two of the kids for the better. Another one is just a piece of shit all around. They scope out and they vet this veteran that is blind, and they come to the conclusion that he's got millions of dollars in his house hidden somewhere away. Now this old man, he lives secluded on, I think it's basically like a one-way street on a dead end. That's what I meant to say, not one-way street, but a dead-end street where there's no other houses. All the houses have been either condemned or foreclosed, or they're just abandoned, and he's like the last house on the street. So he's like the perfect person to rob. Nobody's around, nobody's going to hear him. He's blind, he can't see us, yada yada, right? Quickly are they underestimated. They get into the house, they think they knocked the guy out with some sort of chemical gas kind of thing, and as they are breaking into the basement, the coolest shot, one of the coolest shots is you see the boyfriend start to open the door, you see from the girlfriend's shoulder, and then it just pans around, and you see the old man standing there, like, completely blinded. Who are you? Like that. Like, he I don't know if he's, like, weak and portraying that to them, or if he's just slowly gets the energy throughout the movie. It's an interesting dynamic he has with himself, in my opinion. He's self-aware of his own home, but he also seems very frail and fragile, but also very mean and scary. It's intense at times. So one of the kids is already left because he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. There's like guns involved, yada yada. This was before the old man got involved. He snatches up the boyfriend. The boyfriend is saying, it's just me. The old man kills him. And it's a quick visual, but it lasts. You just see the gun, the muzzle of the gun go off in the flare of it underneath the kid's chin, and and you just see his mouth light up real quick with the flash of the gun, and then he just drops to the ground and he's gone, dead. The girl freaks out, but you got to stay quiet. Like it's such a good movie. And so she sneaks into the closet. The other friend hears what's going on. He's coming back into the house. And now you've got a shot of him walking down this hallway, and then the old man just coming towards him, straight at him. And both, because he's blind, doesn't realize he's there, and because he sees him quick, he just jumps to the wall. Very intense moments like that. A lot of back and forth. The old man is barricading the house from the inside, because what's the best way to keep people inside with you is to trap them in there with you, right? So they're not going to get out. They're stuck in there with him. They know he is this absolute threat, and they don't know what to do. The only option they have is, we know there is a basement. We know there is a double opening door that leads from the basement outside. We saw it on the way in. We can go that way, right? Because there's 4 locks on the door, on the front door. They're going through the basement, the Alex and Rocky, and this to me, the first time I saw this movie is when it changed. I was like, oh, he's not just an old man, and they're invaders, and now he's just trying to defend his home, and it's just a creepy aesthetic, and it's a scary house. There's horror to this. As they go deeper into the basement, they are turning lights on, and before they realize it, out from behind them jumps a woman who's chained and muzzled to the wall. Why is she like this? We'll get to that in a minute. But she is being held captive against her will from this old blind man. It comes up that he lost his child, his daughter, and that this woman is the person that killed his daughter, hit her with a car, and he is keeping her captive. So as they're going along, and they're trying to free this woman, and she's, like I said, she's muzzled up, so she can't say anything, but she's holding a newspaper clipping that says, woman not convicted of murder, and that's why how he got her, because she was, let go free. So Alex and Rocky are trying to, unchain her, and doing so, they hear the old man going across the floor upstairs, and they're scurrying, and they're going as quick as they can, and they get to the double doors that lead outside, and as they're opening them, finally after the lock, they open it. The old man is right there with a gun. Can't see anything. He's not aware of what he's shooting, other than the fact that he knows the threat is in front of him. So now he's shooting. And who does he hit? The woman that he's been kept captive. She drops to the floor dead. Rocky and Alex scurry out of there. Still in the basement, but they scurry out of there. The old man drops to his knees, feeling who he has shot, and in horror, he just starts screaming. Just starts absolutely screaming because of what he's just done. Now, you as the viewer, you're like, what could this be? Like, what? I'm confused. Did he have bigger plans? Like, what the heck? So he's chasing these two down, and he knows they're trying to get out, through the other door. So what he does is he shuts the power off, and it's completely dark in the basement. And in the trailer, when this scene happens, he says, "Now you'll see what I see." And that's really true. Like, it's such a cool black and white. Who directed this? Fede Alvarez? Yeah, all right, that's it. Yeah, from the director of Evil Dead, which it says it right there. I could have guessed it. And this is the same girl that was in the Evil Dead, and I love that movie too. But they're escaping. It's all black and white. It's very cool looking. All you see is like his hand reaching through shelves, and the gunshots going off, and them diving and dodging and ducking. Duck, dive, duck, and dodge. The 5 Ds of dodgeball. So they end up getting out of the basement through the main door, and unfortunately, as they are escaping, they've got the keys, and they're getting out of there. Oh, wait a minute. How does this happen? There's a dog. That's what it was. As they're escaping upstairs, there's a dog. And they both get chased all the way up to the second floor. The dog eventually knocks the Alex out of a window, and he falls out of a window on top of another, ceiling window that's, I think, into the kitchen or something like that. He eventually, I think, falls through that. I can't remember what happens to Alex in that meantime. Or, not Alex, but Rocky the girl. But the old man eventually finds Alex in like a washroom, I believe, or like a little workshop room, and just completely beats the shit out of him, and takes a pair of hedge clippers and just chunks right down in, leaving him to die, presumably. So he eventually, again, he finds the girl. I forget how that happens too, honestly. But he finds the girl, beats her into submission, and brings her downstairs to where the other woman was chained up. Now Rocky wakes up, all chained up, not knowing what's going on. And this is when, again, you see now the horror movie happened. Now they're showing you the monster. And in this scene, he's explaining to her that that other woman took his daughter's life, and the only means of balance is she bear his child. And as he's explaining all this to Rocky, he's walking over to her, he's taking a pair of scissors, and he's cutting a slit in her pants where her crotch is. And of course, she's freaking out in normal fashion. And he's explaining, I never forced myself onto her. And as he's saying this, he's walking over to a freezer. And in that freezer, he takes a baster and sticks it in. And of course, in that is a substance man-made from a man that he is going to inseminate this girl with. And as he's walking over to do it, and he's about ready to, and it's just it's a disturbing, gross scene, and it leaves you feeling awful because you're like, now I just want to see this old man die. I want to see, like, this is foul. This is, I can maybe understand you capturing the person that killed your child, but to do this is vile. And then to do this to somebody else that has, he's a monster. So as he's about to do it, the friend Alex is still alive, and he comes in and he saves Rocky, beats the guy with like a hammer or something. They handcuff him up and leave him there, and they take a bunch of money, and they're heading up the stairs. They're unlocking the door, and as they're heading out, gunshots go off. The old man has freed himself with the chains, and he shot Alex to death, the boy. He's dead. And Rocky escapes. She runs out of there to the end of the street, and then all of a sudden, his dog comes chasing after her. Now it's like a 5 to 10 minute dog chase scene. She's jumping inside of a car. The dog jumps in with her. She's like trapping it in the back of the trunk and the back seat, chaining it up. It's a very well executed scene. It's very suspenseful. If you want dog on person action, go check out Cujo. That's a classic too. But this is very, Cujo in 5 minutes essentially. And then as soon as she escapes the car, unfortunately for her again, the old man is right there. And he captures her, drags her down the street, brings her back into the house, shuts the door, knocks her down, and as she comes to, she notices something on the ground. It's a little alarm, little remote alarm to his security system in his house. So she, and all the alarms start going off, and it disorients him, and I forget what she uses, but she beats the crap out of him with something, and then knocks him down the stairs to the basement where you see him dying, dead, blood running out every which way. Cop car, you hear it in the background, and she's out of there with the money and gone. So now she's in an airport or bus terminal, one of the two, with her younger sister, because that's what she was trying to get the money for, to start a better life for her and her younger sister. So she finally gets the opportunity to do that. Now she's in this terminal. She sees on the news that the story of what just happened is unfolding even further. These two suspects were found dead in this house, and the old man was still alive. Now, and then the news anchor says, and when he's back up and healthy, he's free to go home, essentially. And then they show the Rocky and her little sister walking, into the light, into the sunset, essentially. Now, I can't do this movie justice at all by just talking about it. Like, it has to be watched. It's visually creepy. The sounds are great. The visuals are great. The acting is really good. It's a fun movie. Now, the ending does leave me a little perplexed in the sense of, like, all right, well, if the cops went and investigated and they found dead bodies in his house, they would absolutely investigate the whole house. How are you going to get... How do you cover up everything that's in your basement? You know what I mean? So, because they would definitely see the blood there. They would check that out. Interesting, though. But it's one of those things you kind of got to, wipe it under the rug. And then the only other problem I have with this movie is the fact that it's so good, they thought they needed to make a sequel, and they did. And the sequel, I'll give Cliff Notes real quick. The old man comes in contact with a young girl and becomes like her father figure, a la this, idea behind some of this horror in this movie. But then the little girl gets kidnapped and he goes on like this hunting spree and vendetta and trying to find this kid. You can't humanize this guy. He was using a baster to put mayonnaise in a sandwich that didn't need mayonnaise in it. You know what I mean? It just didn't need to happen. And I don't like that sequel. I'll never buy it. I rented it to see, cause of course I wanted to see it. I didn't know what the story was, but once I saw it, I was like, no, this is no good. So that's that. I really like the Don't Breathe movie. There are a few movies of that year maybe, or that era that were like standalone, like, ooh, baby, that's a good movie. There's another one called Lights Out. I will be watching that one and reviewing that one, maybe in depth. I'm not sure. Depends on what I watch during that day. But it's a good one. I'll be talking about it as well. But it falls under this same